Can everybody hear me? Thank you. King Lear, late at night on the cliffs, asks the blind Earl of Gloucester, "How do you see the world?" And the blind man Gloucester replies, "I see it feelingly." Gloucester must have been an animal rights activist. Rudyard Kipling, writing of young men who died in World War I, and if they ask you why we died, tell them that our fathers lied. That legacy of lies continues today. Everything we think we know about the meat industry is a preposterous lie. See, the world is crying out today for only two things: leadership and the truth. To win this battle, all we need to do is show people the truth. The wise Chinese have a term for it: zhengjiao. Listen to the friend who tells you the truth, even when it hurts. So let's simply tell the truth, fearlessly and forcefully. That is what the Sanskrit word satyagraha means, the truth force. Now, Brendan Kelly in the book of Judas writes, "If you want to serve your age, betray it." But what does that mean, to betray your age? It means expose its lies, humiliate its conceits, debunk its arrogance, and condemn them to face harsher truths. Now, Alvin Toffler said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can't read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now, in human history, only 100 billion people ever lived. 7 billion people are alive today. And yet we humans torture and kill 2 billion sentient, living, loving animals every week. 2 billion every week. We stab and suffocate 1 billion ocean animals every 8 hours. 1 billion every 8 hours. If human beings were killed at the same rate, we would be wiped out in 42 hours. Trillions of fish are ground up into pellets to feed to livestock. Vegetarian cows are now the world's largest ocean predators. You see, the oceans are dying in our time. By 2048, all our fisheries will be dead, the lungs and the arteries of the earth. And oceans sequester more CO2 than all the forests of the world put together. 10,000 entire species are wiped out every year because of the actions of one. And we now face the 6th mass extinction in cosmological history. If any other organism did this, a biologist would call it a virus. It is a crime of unimaginable proportions. Now, if any of my algorithms are true, and they all are, it means that no child under the age of 5 is ever going to reach retirement age, if that does not chill your blood. Now, the mass of human beings on this planet accounts for 30% of the mass on the planet. Animals on factory farms account for 60% of the body mass on the planet. And wild animals, the way animals should be, have been decimated down to only 4%. So we have converted Carl Sagan's beautiful blue planet into blood-stained planet Slaughterhouse. Now, Victor Hugo said there is nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come, and he's right. But I say there is nothing more destructive than a bad idea whose time has passed. The time for meat has passed. You know, today there are over 600 million vegetarians and vegans in the world. 600 million. And that is bigger than the United States, England, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, all put together. If we were one nation, we would be bigger than the 27 nations of the European Union. We are bigger than NATO. We are bigger than OPEC. And despite this massive demographic footprint, we are still drowned out by the raucous hunt and shoot and kill and cartels who believe that violence is the answer when it should not even be a question. Now, I'm sure you would know that forest depletion by the meat industry costs 3 times as much as the recent global financial crisis. Zoonotic diseases caused by factory farms now threaten a pandemic to rival the Black Death, which wiped out half of Europe. All we need is one influenza pandemic, and that would cost us $3 trillion. And I should mention in passing that because of bad diets, and particularly the meat and dairy industry in the United States, and your Medicare problems, this country would need $8 trillion invested in treasury bills just to pay the interest on that debt, and you have got precisely 0. You could shut down every school, university, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Homeland Security, FBI, and CIA, and you still will not have enough money to fund your Medicare liabilities. And of course, as you know, meat is killing us with cancers, heart disease, osteoporosis, and diabetes. This is likely to bankrupt even the most powerful of nations. Now, many of you would know that water is the new oil. Nations will soon be going to war over it. Right now, today, meat and dairy is responsible for the most profligate wastage of water, while 4 billion people suffer from water scarcity. Today, 1 billion people are hungry. 20 million people will die this year from malnutrition. Reducing our meat consumption by only 10% will feed 100 million people, and going vegan will end malnutrition forever. And you know, food prices are skyrocketing. It used to cost me $195 a ton for Thai rice for my projects in Southeast Asia. And then it went up to 1,015, a 5-fold increase in 5 months. And poor countries sell their grain to the West for hard currency, whilst their own children starve in their arms, and the West feeds it to livestock. So we can eat a steak. I bet I'm not the only one here today who thinks that is a crime. Exactly. Believe me, every morsel of meat we eat is slapping the tear-stained face of a hungry child. When I look into her eyes, do I remain silent? If everyone ate a Western diet, we would need 3 planet Earths to feed us. We've only got 1, and she is dying. The Earth can produce enough food for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. And greenhouse gas emissions from livestock now vastly exceed those of transport. Cars, trains, special ships, lorries, the whole lot. And now the melting Siberian permafrost is a ticking time bomb. When it releases its sequestered gas, the game is over. I don't know how many of you have seen the Yamal Peninsula in Russia, but if you did, I guarantee you, you'd be having sleepless nights. Now, I spoke to 2,000 wealthy Indian entrepreneurs in New Delhi. And in the audience was Amartya Sen, who just won India's Nobel Prize in Economics. And I delivered a speech alongside Peter Doherty in Australia, who won Australia's Nobel Prize in Medicine. And I did the same with Amartya Sen when he won the Peace Prize. And I told them all that all the good that they had done would vanish when Bangladesh drowns, to say nothing about Manila, Mumbai, Calcutta, Ho Chi Minh City, and Bangkok. And there I mention New York City, the Mediterranean, and all the low countries of Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing the perfect storm. If any nation had developed weapons that could wreak such havoc on this planet, we would launch a preemptive military strike and bomb it back into the Bronze Age. But we can't, because it is not a rogue state. It's a grubby little industry. Meat. The good news is we don't have to bomb it. We can just stop buying it. So George Bush was wrong. The axis of evil does not run through Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. It runs through our dining tables. Weapons of mass destruction are our knives and forks, and increasingly nowadays, our chopsticks. See, the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones. This disgusting, vile industry will end because we run out of excuses.
Yes.
And paradoxically, the farmers are the ones with the most to gain. Farming won't end, it would boom. Only the product line would change. Farmers would make so much money they wouldn't even bother counting it. And I'd be the first to congratulate them.
Yes.
Governments would love us. New industries would emerge and flourish. Health insurance premiums would plummet. Hospital waiting lists would disappear.
Yes.
Hell, we would be so healthy, we'd have to shoot someone just to start a cemetery. You know, we've got to tell our lawmakers that we need a new system of law, a new kind of jurisprudence.
Yes.
We call it a foro conscientiae, the court of the conscience. Judge White, in the Bonfires of the Vanity, his closing words were, "The law is humanity's attempt at decency." So let's all join together in a war that decency cannot afford to lose. Because in the end, only three things matter: how deeply you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things that were not meant for you. Meat was not meant for you. Let's get rid of this barbaric relic, the sick, smug, and cruel past. It has no place in civilized society. Let's make America smart again. Let's make America rich again. Let's make America wise again. And most importantly, let's make America kind again. Let's shut down these vile, ghastly, squalid gulags of despair. Let's do it now. Thank you.